welcome back, everyone. All right, so a little short story. The other day, I filmed a 25-minute episode, and follow me on socials. You already heard this, but as I go to break down for the episode, start editing, I never plugged my mic in, so it was a little echoey. Apologies about that, but we went for it. I wasn't gonna do a 25-minute episode over when it felt like it flowed pretty well, but 1% better each time, right? First time I didn't have show notes. I had show notes last time. Then the second time I didn't have a microphone in, so we have show notes and a mic now. So we're off to a good start. Um, this is going to be a continuation of episode 2. So if you didn't listen to that episode yet, I would start there. This is kind of the breakdown of my mentality shift that I kind of spoke about in episode 2. Each one of these things, I'm going to run through, the things that I did change, and then in coming episodes, we're going to kind of compartmentalize each of these, see what I do to really practice them, why I felt they were important to me to implement them, and maybe it'll resonate with you, and it's something that you can implement and start growing or changing something about yourself, or just feeling better about yourself, just to give you the tools to have the ability to do that. So, as I talked about in the last episode, I had this point of real reflection when I had my feelings that I felt, and then I see this picture of myself, and just looking at myself, like from the feelings of feeling worthless, feeling like just need to go to bed all the time, all of this, but then seeing the photo, knowing I have 2 young boys now, and I'm like, I need to be dad. I got to be like, I don't want to say masculine, but you play that fatherly role. I can't be this like, this is for me. I'm not pushing it on other people, but for me as a father, I wanted to be that presence, not a dominator over them, but let them carry themselves, with their chest up, head up, regardless of the circumstance. And I didn't see that in myself in that photo, so I was like, it's time for a change. So I didn't really know what that change was going to be. I was looking at myself, and I'm like, there's got to be a break. So the immediate change I made was rejoining the gym. I hadn't seen it inside of a gym in multiple years at that point, and I was like, that is the place that I start, because that's the place that I came from. I always enjoyed training. I enjoyed physical, activity. I enjoyed slapping my headphones on. So I'm like, let's start back there and kind of tackle it as we go. So I joined the gym. That was going good. Everything was on the up and up. I started shifting a little bit the content that I was taking in online. I started getting back more into like the fitness stuff, refollowing bodybuilders, watching, the YouTube motivational videos, things of that nature to really, get the mind going again. Um, that was, 2019, as I spoke about in the last episode. And then, not that far into 2020, we got hit with that COVID. And, once that hit, gym shut down and stuff, it was like, oh man, I'm making progress, and now it's gone. So that was a couple of funky months. Tried to stay active, um, but when you're just kind of digging out of a hole, and then you get hit with something, it's not always conducive to the situation. So we dealt with that for a little while. Finally, New York started to move again. I'm back working in the field. Gyms start to open back up. As soon as they start to open back up, even though I had to train with a mask, I was like, I got to get back in there. And so I got back into training. And then October of that year is actually when I was like, let me jump on podcasts. Everybody's talking about, Rogan and this guy and that guy. And, just how they were enjoying podcasts. And I was like, let me jump on and see what it's all about. It wasn't really about like, talk radio and stuff. I always hated that in the morning, like trying to drive to work and they're just going over a bunch of ridiculous stuff. But I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. So I jump on Apple Podcasts. I'm just like scrolling around, seeing what kind of subject I want to listen to and everything. And I end up scrolling across Ed Milet. And that was probably the biggest game changer of a lot of these things that I've implemented. And I only say that because it started the entire path for this. And to this day, I listen to him weekly. I'm a part of his Arte Syndicate now. I get to deal with him on, closer level. Um, so that is one of the biggest things that changed the game for me. So, once I started listening to him, I started realizing that the type of content that I was taking in or stuff that I was paying attention to on social media, it just really wasn't. I mean, really, it depends who you're following on social media, but there is a lot that is just not conducive to self growth, doing better for yourself, any of that. There's a lot of distraction there. And sometimes I still fall for the distraction. I think we all do. Um, but I'm trying to get better with it. So, I'm aware now that I need to start changing the content that I'm taking in. So I started doing that, um, which was kind of hard at that time. If I'm going to be frank, especially living in New York, we were in an election year. I got very absorbed in the uh, political stuff on Instagram, as many of us did. But to like an unhealthy point to like, I would see something on there and I'd be like, what the hell, blah blah blah, and I'd go, show my phone to Jenna like, whoa, this is happening now, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I'm like, they're not in my household, so why are they affecting me to this level? And then I started seeing like just people going bananas. Like it's one thing to want to stay up on the times and have your opinion, but just my parents were always a thing. Like if we were having a dinner at the house, that wasn't talked about. You talked about what was going on in your life, what was going on with the kids or whatever, but like you don't bring politics to the dinner table. And now it's like it was everywhere. So I got bad with that for a while, and then I kind of acknowledged it once I saw myself like physically getting shook up about it. I was like, this is like ridiculous. So, I started shifting away from that stuff. I started seeing the people that were surrounded around Ed, people that he was having out for interviews and stuff. Started following them. As things popped up on my Instagram feed, started on following people, just trying to make that shift. Um, which was big because, like I said, that was a big problem for me, especially when we were all locked down and that our gateway was social media, getting away from it. Not that anybody was really doing anything at the time, but it was there. It's in front of your face. So that happens. Then, as I talked about in the last episode, sorry, um, starting to take those trips out of the state, recognizing like, okay, difference of feelings here, and started, you know, becoming more aware of who I was, what I was doing. Even though I was back in the gym, I was still struggling with a bunch of things. My drive for the gym just wasn't there anymore, and it was bugging me. I'm like, I'm trying to do this thing, and I feel like, you know, 1 or 2 days, I'm like good, I'm on it, feeling good about myself, whatever. And then like the next 3 days, it's just like crappy workouts, crappy mood, whatever. So I started seeing more about hormone therapy, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I have an issue. Maybe that's what's going on with me. Let me go get checked out. So I got in contact with um, a clinic and was like, listen, I'm not looking to just jump on something, but I'd like to have my labs run. I want to see where I'm at, with everything, not just hormones themselves. And, I was with a very good team. If you need a recommendation, hit me DM on socials. I'll let you know. But yeah, so they did my blood work and everything, and my levels came back way low, which I thought there may have been an issue there, just how I was feeling, but I didn't realize how bad my levels really were. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna give this a shot and see if it is the missing piece of the puzzle. I would recommend. I'll be honest. I'm not on hormone replacement anymore. I did it for about a year. I don't believe I could have accelerated my progress had I not been on it because, at the time being overweight and everything like that, um, it would have taken a lot of work naturally to get those levels back. I don't believe um, my natural levels are tremendously higher than they were before, but I feel way better on the daily. I haven't had my labs done recently. I'm due. Um, but I would recommend for anybody who's thinking about it, it doesn't hurt to get blood work done. It doesn't hurt to just see where you're at. I mean, it could be the thing, some people got to stay on it. I wanted it more as a jump starter because I knew once I dropped the weight and changed, some of my intakes and stuff, I knew I could bring it back up naturally, which you can do as well. That was just, the route I went down, and it helped tremendously. Um, but I don't believe I need it anymore. I'm not on it. I've been off a couple of months now, and I mean, I feel great. So, I did the therapy, the hormone therapy, back in the gym, adjusted the content that I was taking in, um, and then my downtime. I had a fair amount of downtime. Uh, the company I was working for, I was either running around checking jobs, or I was in the office doing bids and stuff, or I was in the field. But I always had this opportunity to, have a set of headphones on or something, or, driving in the truck, obviously have something on. So I started shifting away from, you know, my drives or my days being music and just things that were not productive for myself. And I started doing audiobooks. And, another thing that was just a huge mental shift for myself, um, as far as outlook of how different things operate, and just really opening up my mind. I was actually talking to somebody today, just discussing the fact of like, I grew up in a trade, and there's a point where like, I had a family young, growing up in a trade. I had a lot of teachers that like to put me down, and it's like you start getting in this like, all right, this is all I'm meant for. This is all I'm going to do. You start having that mindset of like, this is what it's going to be, whether it's feeding your soul or not. But now I'm at the point where, even though I'm still in construction, I'm implementing things that are going to feed my soul because, it's always like you think like this is a lane you have to stay in. And now, especially with technology and things, I mean, look at what I'm doing now. And now you have the ability, you can go work a full day, but then you can come home and host your own show, or I mean, the levels are endless, as far as building a social media, being affiliated with different companies. I mean, you can play video games online, like things that used to be people's downtime. Now you have an opportunity to do something that's an extra stream of income and something that you thoroughly enjoy while you're doing it. So, um, introducing the books was big on that, because then you start seeing, like, okay, there are people that started in one lane and made a shift, made multiple shifts, and grew themselves into something that they weren't even remotely close to before, which is like a major journey I'm on now. So, I'm these things that I started implementing, which helped me get to the point of making the decision to leave New York. Um, I wasn't the best at practicing them, but I tried to be as intentional as possible with the way my mindset was of really implementing these things and getting that shift going. And when I was doing that, Florida was a non-thought. The Florida jump seriously came out so fast. Like I laid it out over 3 years on the last episode, but really it was like, we came down to look at condos. That was going to be the goal. We came down to look at condos in August, and by January, I'm like, we're listing the house and we're going for good. Um, which again, had I not implemented these things, had I not had the shift, would never have even been a thing. I'm still, I'm sitting here over a year later of being here, and I'm like, holy smokes, I did it! Like, I packed up everything and moved my family. It's wild. Um, and so those are the things that got me here. And the things that I've continued to build off since I've been here. When we got down here, we sold the house for a gain. And one of the things I wanted to do was take some time off. I'm like, one, I felt like I needed that hard reset. I was making these changes, but this was like, okay, now I can kind of separate from everything and hit that hard reset. So I took 2 months off, which was awesome. The kids, they weren't to school yet. Obviously, we moved down during the summer, and so I was like, I'm gonna take the time till they go back to school. We all just got here. We're just gonna go adventure, and once the kids go back to school, I'll get back to work and everything. I ended up coming on board with a company as soon as I got down here. Um, and had that upfront discussion with them, like, look, at I'm not looking to start till this time, whatever. They were good to go with it, and so it all worked out awesome, the way it happened. um so I take that hard reset and continue to do the books and everything, audiobooks, some reading, just trying to take in material, take in material, take in material. So I'm on this road taking in all this material, and then I got back to work. Kids are in school. Um, Driving down the road, and I see a sign for a master class that's going to be happening in Tampa. And I've always seen these different master classes online, and they look really cool. Tons of huge guest speakers there and stuff. Like really gets you going. So I'm like, I'm gonna sign up for this thing. We'll see what happens. So I signed up for that. Um, I've since been to it, and it was awesome. The networking that could happen, the network that did happen there, um, the guest speakers that they had, just it was 3 days of just epic energy and mind shifting is the best way I could describe it. Um, so since that point, I came on board with Arte Syndicate. So they're a business and self development group run by Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. It's been absolutely great. I get a weekly call with one of them to just go over certain subjects, business, self, everything. Really kind of stay dialed in um, to who I am becoming. On top of that, I practice some morning journaling, gratitude journaling, which is been really huge for me. It's gotten to the point where there's a certain run of questions that you start your day off with, and it's gotten to the point where the alarm goes off, and before I think about anything of the day, I'm like, what am I grateful for that's going into my book? So like I don't need to jump for the phone and see who texted. I don't need to see the latest breaking news or whatever. It's like that alarm goes off, tap it. All right, what am I grateful for? So that's been a big staple for me. And then part of that book is what would make today great. So when I run my things out, I didn't do this initially when I got the book, um, but when I run those things out, I now try to be intentional about those things. So, say, what would make today great? And I say new connection. Now I'm out in public and I'm being intentional about that book sitting at home that I wrote that out this morning of like, okay, if somebody crosses paths and, we catch eye contact or whatever, like maybe this is the new connection I need. Or, I start to have a conversation with somebody on social media and instead of, just letting it be a quick DM exchange, I go a little bit deeper. So, the gratitude and the daily intention has been huge. Um, the other thing I am going to do a whole episode on is I started a couple months ago training jujitsu, and it is the thing that I didn't know I needed in my life. Um, I already talked to my professor. He's actually probably going to be one of the first few interview episodes I have. He nudged me a little bit. I initially had signed the kids up to do it, and he nudged me a little bit, and he kind of alluded that jujitsu had a huge impact on him, and I know the impact it's had on me since I started. So I actually approached him and was like, "Hey, listen, would you come on so we can have a chat about this? Maybe get more people in the space, or just help them understand what it can do for them." Um, which has been a tremendous impact. I mean, my entire family now trains jujitsu. It's been a game changer for us. Um, and implementing all these things, I'll be honest, my days are way busier um, than they were in New York. I mean, I was up this morning, I was out the door to work, did my work day. On my way home, I had a Zoom call with a team that I'm working with in a venture that I'm getting into. Um, so I did that Zoom on my drive home. Don't worry, I have hands free. Got home, saw the boys for a couple minutes, right into another Zoom call for the supplement company I'm with now. Getting set up with my coaching and everything, which is super exciting. I can't wait to start launching some more content based around that because that's, fitness has always been a huge staple for me. And now coming back around and getting more physical again. I mean, from leaving New York to this point in time, I'm down just shy of 30 pounds, which is like, I never thought I'd be there again. And, from jujitsu, my flexibility, my energy levels, um, endurance, like I just feel awesome. Um, but, so I do my work day, I do my 2 Zooms, write out some show notes, have dinner. We're rolling up on 9:30 here, getting this episode done. Gonna finish this episode, edit it, schedule it, all of that. Usually, jujitsu's in there, but tonight it was not part of it. But every every other night of the week, it's jujitsu's in there, and then after jujitsu, coming home and getting into either learning materials that I have to do for this other thing that I'm working on, or just trying to catch up on spending some time. I'm 10 times busier than I was in New York, but having all of these tools now that I use to keep my head on straight, pretty unfazed by it. When before it was like I had a hard time getting through a regular work day, let alone piling on all this other stuff at night. So as I said, I'll release a couple episodes coming up, just kind of breaking some of these down a little bit deeper on how I implement them, and again, why I feel that they're a good staple for daily activity, for growth, or just being able to handle stressors. Um, we all know there's no shortage of those. So to be able to remain happy, level-headed, all of that through them is major. So that is it for this episode. I can't believe I'm actually running up running up and around 27 minutes now. I did not think I had it in me, but we're out here doing it. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been reaching out, has started listening, has started subscribing. Really appreciate it. Um, Again, if you could, follow me on socials. Um, the handle is BigLance_elevated on all social medias. The podcast is Beyond Levels Podcast. You can find that anywhere you can get podcasts, pretty much. And then the YouTube is Beyond_Levels. And yeah, I mean, if you can give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, to just really start getting the traction here, and share the episode. I mean, there might be somebody out here this resonates with you. You were having a conversation with a friend the other day, and let's start building a community here, and making the space better, because we're all just trying to do it out here. I heard the other day that at the bottom there's conflict, at the top there's collaboration. And like I said, we're all out here doing our best, making the best out of our situations and stuff. So like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Extremely grateful you were here, you listened, and be well.